you laughing is self-inspired. Then, 70s singing icon and environmentalist John Denver talks about his latest tribute to nature, his A&E Wildlife Concert, next on Charles Grodin.
Tonight, John Denver. John Denver is going to be the first guest out tonight. And John Denver, I read about these people when I really, I know about John Denver the way you know about John Denver, but you read the research, and I read the research, and I came in today, and I said, can I ask John Denver anything that was in that research? Oh, sure, everybody says. Now, John Denver may be watching this in a dream. Can I ask John Denver? John Denver took a chainsaw and cut his dining room table, this is in anger, and his bedboard and a couple other tables in his house, and he wrote a book, and he put this in there. He was mad about something. And the thing that strikes me about John Denver as I read this has got to be a pretty straightforward, honest guy, because if you sawed your expensive dining room table, you sawed your headbed with a power saw, would you go around telling everybody? Hosts it. Anyway, John's going to be out. I'm sure he's a very, very forthcoming. Never been to Fort Lee, just met him in the hall. And I said, you got a new song here, you broaden your horizons. You come to Fort Lee, you broaden your horizon. So it could be a new song coming here from John Denver, and then a little bit after that, Carl Reiner is going to be here. And I met Carl Reiner under the John Denver's music is known around the world. His many hits have included Take Me Home, Country Roads, Rocky Mountain High, and Sunshine on My Shoulders. He's also well known for his many humanitarian efforts, working with various organizations to protect the environment and end world hunger. His Wildlife Concert aired last night on A&E. And here's John Denver. I know when I...
Now the Aspen Chainsaw Massacre.
And now they know, but it's interesting. Whenever I do this, people sit over there, as you just did, and they like them. Oh, good, humanitarian, that's good. The new album, that's good. And then that is, they go, now what's he gonna do now? So you took a chainsaw. And yeah. Oh, that was interesting. Was that is that your only book? Have you written?
That's my only book.
Okay, so you wrote a book, and you felt that.
I felt if you were going to do that, the value was in being honest, and I was as honest and candid as I could be.
And you didn't just one day wake up and start sawing the furniture. Something happened to provoke that, right?
You're absolutely right.
And what happened?
Well, so it was during my wife Annie's and my divorce, and she cut down some trees at our home. I gave her the home, and we hadn't quite gotten a divorce yet. This was early on, so we weren't really on the best of terms. And she cut down some trees that, to me, were as much a part of the home as the windows and the walls that I designed. And I felt that I ought to do something like that also, so that people would know that I was still a part of this home. And I felt a lot better, certainly after doing it, but I felt better about what I did. I mean, the wood that I sawed had already been cut down. I didn't cut down any living trees to do that.
No, what trees?
And they look out between these two clumps of 100-year-old trees out at 3 peaks that are across the valley.
Where are we, in Colorado?
In Colorado. And there's this old fellow named Percy Pratt, was the construction foreman. And he came here and said, Mr. Denver, where do you want to aim this here thing? And I showed him a line going down between those two rooms on the drawings, and I went right over here, and I said I wanted to aim right there between those two clumps of trees.
How long
so they were part of the home.
How long do they run, those clumps? I mean, how long are those, that row of trees?
Oh, this was, wider than the studio.
But I mean, did they run for like
about 100 years old.
50 yards, or is
No, not quite that long.
How many trees
yards.
were there that were cut down, I guess is what I'm asking?
Oh, I'd say 15 or 20.
15 or 20. And what reason were they cut? Why did she cut them down?
She thought they blocked the view.
Did they block the view? Not your opinion.
Not my opinion. No, sir. Not at all.
That's what makes divorces. She thought they blocked the view. What view did she think they blocked?
Some of the other mountains, I guess. I don't know. Those mountains that were framed, they're glorious. The 14,000-foot peak across there weren't enough mountains for her to see, I suppose.
So she wanted to...
and we shouldn't make fun of that. It was... I'm not proud of having done it. It's not the best decision I ever made. I was very, very... That's as angry as I've ever been.
No, but I think it's... what I think is interesting about this, and the way the context I put it, is that you spoke about it, because everybody does things that they wouldn't want to put in print or speak about. Everybody, I think.
Well, but this is something that had been written about before.
Well, you wrote about it.
And so, no, I didn't. I mean, before that, I don't know how it got out or where it got out, but that had been written about before, so I wanted to tell the story. The same thing happened, I was accused once of having enough storage for gasoline to drive my Porsche around the world about 8 or 10 times. And that was back when they first had gasoline lines out in California. Was when the story broke, and that was never true. But I ignored it, and that's one that still comes up 20 years later.
So it was written about, and you addressed it in the book. And
yes.
But is Annie your first wife?
She's my first wife, yeah.
And also...
And, you know, part of what I said about not making fun of that is I don't want to make fun of Annie. We have a great relationship now, as good as any divorced people that I know, and I think the world of her, and again, you know, that was a...
I don't think we're making
terrible...
I really don't think we're making fun of Annie. I think we're making fun of you, and you're making fun of... You're not making fun, you're telling the truth.
I don't mind...
And I'll tell you something, I could see, I might cut down some tables, too. It's never happened, but if anybody just went out and... You know, I'm not in that situation, thank God, and I don't think you are at the moment either, right? You're not in an estranged. You're married a second time, right?
I'm divorced a second time.
You're divorced
also.
a second, so you're not in any estranged situation. So, that's what I was trying to say.
Yes, that's true.
But so this, so it's Annie. Now I get this. I hope this isn't a story because I read a lot of stuff when somebody comes on and you broke Annie's rib. That was from an embrace.
On our honeymoon.
On your honeymoon.
Yes, sir.
So that's not...
A little enthusiastic, I guess. I don't know, but somehow I cracked her ribs.
So we don't tie that in with the chainsaw.
That was a different time in our relationship, yes.
So basically, you could be seen as a kind of a passionate guy, one way or the other.
I think I'm a pretty passionate fella.
I mean, really. I mean, you seem to be like a passionate guy, and I'm not kidding now. You seem to be a passionate guy, and you seem to be a guy, you know, who's going to say things that maybe other people... I mean, there's other stuff that we're going to go to a break in a minute that I read about you that you have said that I would never say this stuff. And I want to when we come back, I want to talk about that too, because reading about you know what I get. I'm very struck that you're definitely a guy who will go out there, who will say, I want to be in a space capsule, I want to go to the moon.
Absolutely.
I love my wife so much I'll break a rib when I'm, and I'm not, I think, you know.
I didn't do it on purpose.
No, but I mean, it's a heck of a... No, seriously, I know it is kind of funny, but it was done in all fashion and seriousness. And then the chainsaw thing.
Under the most wonderful of circumstances.
Under the most wonderful, and then under the estranged to do stuff, and when people are estranged, they will do stuff. And the fact that you say it, and that you're passionate and you're out on the table, I find that appealing. I'm serious. I find that, I like that. I like people that are out there, will say, this is who I am, you may not like me for it, I'll cut down your table, I'll break your rib because I love you so much, but this is who I am. We're going to go to a break, and I'm going to say some other things you said that I thought were kind of... See, I love the way the guy sings. You know, again, as you put it, you were like doing things that you would call superstardom with probably millions and millions and millions of records all over the world, and then, as is true of anybody in the entertainment, and you can't sustain that. You can come back to it and have great success, but it was difficult for you because it changed, as it does with everybody.
Well, so I feel a little bit fortunate having seen both sides of those cycles. It didn't happen for me, you know, immediately. At one time, I was the biggest selling record artist in the world. Before that, I was one of the least selling record artists in the world, and I got to be that again, in a sense. So, you know, hopefully that's behind me, and as you also suggest, things can come back. If you stay with it, if you're doing good work, if you're dedicated to what you do, I think they can come back, and I think that's what's going on.
Well, and it doesn't hurt to be a great talent like you are.
Well, thanks.
It's more likely it will, because I was watching you, I think, on A&E last night. I said, the guy is fabulous. I mean, you know, because I watch stuff. We have singers here every day, and I remember, yeah, so you went from that, and then you had to deal with you went to Nashville, and you didn't feel that you were treated appropriately. I'm getting this from,
well, part of what happened in Nashville, you know, Nashville isn't Music City. It's Music Business City. And I feel like I've earned the right to do what I want to do musically. The songs that I've had success with, the songs that maybe the biggest selling record artists in the world there for a couple of years in the 70s were songs that I wrote. So I don't appreciate being told that I need to do more country songs to get my album promoted or played or to be a part of a record label.
How would you describe your music?
I think my music, you know, mostly I suppose I'm a balladeer. I think the songs are folk songs to a large degree. Leaving on a Jet Plane, Rocky Mountain High is a folk song. And beyond that, I think to a degree, what I would like to think or hope is that I represent a bit of the West in my music, of the American West. In my mind, there's nothing in the world like the American West. Nothing like the people who live out there, nothing like the spirit of the American West, and certainly nothing like the beauty of that country. And I think that's a part of what I represent. And I think to a large degree around the world, there are places they call me the voice of America. So I like that.
And you wanted to be on the space capsule. In fact, you were close too, weren't you?
The space shuttle. I was involved in the whole beginning of the Citizen in Space program, and had pretty much been told that I had a real good chance of flying. And of course, we had the accident with the Challenger, and Krista McAuliffe, the teacher who was on board, was the first citizen in space. In that.
She was. Were the other people there not civilians? I mean, she was the teacher. The other people were in the.
Well, they had. It's not really fair to define them as civilians. Most of the people who had flown up to those years, the beginning of the space shuttle, were people who were from the military. And then they started having what is called payload specialists, who were sometimes civilians, but who had had a long bit of training having to do with this particular scientific project or satellite that they needed to get up there and make sure everything was working. So, but a citizen, somebody from out there.
A teacher or a singer.
A teacher or a singer. That hadn't happened.
And you were actually considered for this. This is the what did you call it? Not the Challenger. Is that what it was? It blew up. That's the one that blew up. And you almost were on that. You were on the list. You were on the short list to be on that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Let's take a phone call. Ann from New Jersey. Do you have a question for John Denver?
Yes. Well, Charles, I want to tell you I enjoy your show very much.
Thank you, Ann.
And, John, it's a thrill for me to be able to tell you how much I've loved your music over the years, in particular Annie's song.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, and if there's anyone in the audience that wants to hear a beautiful love song, that's it. And I have a question about it, okay?
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, because I love that song so much, did you compose the lyrics first or the melody first, and did it take a long time?
And this is from somebody named Annie.
Yes, I know. So usually for me, songs kind of come together. The music and the lyrics come together. There might be a phrase that kicks off a song like Leaving on a Jet Plane or Follow Me or Rocky Mountain High. But in this case, it was an incredible sense that I had one day in the mountain skiing that it fills up your senses. There's something for everything. And I started, wow, what a nice thought that is. And I started thinking about the other things in my life that I felt that way about. And the first thing that came to mind was the woman that I was madly in love with. And as I thought about that, you fill up my senses like the things that are really important to me. And mostly these are things in nature. And the ski lift that I was on, I guess, was about 10.5 minutes, 12 minutes up Bell Mountain ski lift. And I wrote the song in that time. Skied down to my car, went home, ran into my house up at the studio, picked up my guitar, and I had a song.
Do you carry a paper and pencil with you on these?
No,
I just kept in your head?
Yeah.
So you wrote Leaving on a Jet Plane?
Yes, I did.
See, because when Peter, Paul, and Mary were here, they sang it, and I'm going to have to check that tape. I think they said they wrote it, so we may have a lawsuit. Susan, we have 1 minute. Susan from New York, you have a question for John Denver. Susan?
Hello?
Hi, Susan.
Hi, John Denver.
Hi.
First of all, I wanted to say 2 questions. How does it feel being born December 31st? You get hit with New Year's Eve. But I went to Colorado in the 70s. I traveled cross country, and when we went to Independence Pass, Colorado, and when I saw the majesty,
You got 30 seconds on it.
I fell down from the experience. But I wanted to know, do you ever do concerts with Barbra Streisand, who I know raises money for environmental causes?
Gee, I'm not aware that she does that. I haven't. I don't think that I've met Barbara, and I think she's one of the great singers in the world. I'm not sure she thinks too fondly of me, but I would welcome the chance to sing with.
Well,
with
I
her.
don't know why, unless she knows about the chainsaw thing. We're going to be right back, and Carl Reiner is going to join us. We'll be right back with John Denver and Carl Reiner. Carl Reiner is an actor. You know all this, right, Carl?
Yes, but I'll listen to make sure you got it right.
Okay, Carl Reiner is an actor, comedian, writer, director, and producer, also an author. Some of you may know him best for his role as Alan Brady of the 60s sitcom The Dick Van Dyke Show, which he actually wrote for himself, and he was the star of the Dick Van... It wouldn't have been called The Dick Van Dyke Show, but he was the star, And they later found out that, like, you know, you're good and everything, but let's get Dick Van, which is like a heartbreak. And he was, as well as a straight man for Mel Brooks and a 2,000-year-old man. No, the stuff I said, he wrote the show for himself, and they said, let's get Dick Van Dyke. We like him better, and he has his own hair, right? I mean, yes.
Yes, I did a pilot, and it didn't sell, and I had written 13 scripts for myself because I was going to be the actor, and I wanted to make sure I had the material. And it didn't sell. I was angry. I said, television doesn't deserve me. I'm going to movies. I started doing movies. And Sheldon Leonard said, why did you do this again? I said, no, I don't want to fail twice with the same thing. He said, no, you'll be the producer. We'll get a better guy to play you than you.
Now, that's a thing. He writes it for himself. We'll get somebody better than you. I mean,
You know, I directed
of course I
this
know.
Man and George Burns and Oh God.
Yes.
And on the set, 3 times, when I asked him to do something, he punched me in the mouth and kicked George Burns in the groin twice.
That's not
Nobody
in the
knows
book.
that.
That's what you said. You left some stuff out of the book.
There's a couple of things not in the
That
book.
was a couple of things. Right?
No, that was one of the loveliest relationships I've ever seen, George and he.
No, he did mention. I don't know if I don't know what's on air and what's off, but he did say there are a couple of things other than the chainsaw. Now, Carl, before I finish your introduction, have you ever like chainsawed anything? Or?
No, I'm very Gentile.
Really, you're a Gentile.
Gentile person.
Have you ever like pushed anyone through a plate glass window? Give me something, Carl. We're going.
I've never pushed, and that's why I'm a comedian. I'm a charming coward. I've gotten into situations. Did you read? You didn't read my book.
Enter Laughing.
No, this new book, Continue Laughing.
No, I didn't.
There's a whole section in it about being confronted by some bigots in the Army. That is almost word for word true. I was frightened. The guy says, "You want to step outside with carbines, Reiner?"
Who's carbines?
Carbines with guns. We're going to fight it out.
That accent.
And I was deathly scared, and I made the whole thing into a big comedy where I got huge laughs from the guys in the barracks and didn't get killed because of it.
Did the guy who wanted you to step outside, did he find it amusing what you did there?
No, but we were keeping a score of it's in the book.
I mean, a guy's got a gun. He wants to step outside with carbines.
That was only. You want me to describe it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a non-com school, and the only time blacks and whites came together, they were not integrated in 1944, and there were some wonderful black guys in our barracks. We called them colored men then. And I was talking to a gentleman in the latrine who was a college grad who was so much brighter than me, and I was having a good time. We're talking about theater, and this guy says, "You like," and he used the N-word. He says, "Ryan, I saw you talking that. You think they're as good as us?" I said, "Well, I think this guy's probably better than me because he's smarter than me," and I was listening. He says, "You think there is an N in the word who's better than me?" I said, "There must be one colored man in the world." He used the word, and he said, "Name one." And now the barracks is gathering around, and I'm getting scared because this guy's tough. And he said, "Name one." I said, "Well, Paul Robeson." "What he done?" And then we went. I said, "What did you do? What he did?" And I did scores. I said, "Somebody keep score." Robeson was this. He says, I ran a chain of grocery stores. I said, "One for you, one for Robeson." He was an all-American football player. And we went down, and the guys were roaring with laughter. And it lay quiet for a while. And at night, I hear across the bar, I never heard my name said like that, "Reiner, you a Jew?" J-Y-Y-Y-E-W-W. And I said, "Yes, so why do you ask? Why do you ask?" And this is the most amazing first he said, "Excuse me." He said, "Reiner, you want to step outside with carbines and settle this?" I said, "No, because I'm a marksman. I've gotten 3 medals. And there's no doubt that I'll kill you. And for a little argument like that, to get a court-martial, being thrown in jail, ruin my whole life for just killing a man," more laughter. Then it's quiet. And then he says, "Reiner, you a Jew?" And then this is the line I never expected. He says, "Man named Goldfarb, my town. One of my best friends." That was the end of it. I never thought that would end it. But he would would have gone out with carbines.
The laughter seduced him.
Yeah.
He remembered Goldfarb.
Well, that's in the book. That's in the book. Not as me, as a kid named David Kukulowicz. But this is accurate.
Yeah, John.
So I would sing.
You would say
to get out of trouble.
Step outside with carbines.
Sometime,
you fill me with, like, you go.
Well, I had a guy once when we got through this little particular thing. He was picking on me in a lumber camp. and I got up to go to the restroom, and he hit me over the head with my guitar. So it worked sometimes, sometimes it didn't work.
I like that his context is a lumber camp.
Yeah, right.
He's got the Western context. Carl Reiner has also directed such films as The Jerk, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, and he's won 11 Emmys. Now hold it right there. There's 11 Emmys. There's always, I hate to feel bad right in the middle of an intro. You probably won an Emmy along the way.
I never won an Emmy.
I won one Emmy.
Oh yes, I did win an Emmy.
There you go. We got one apiece.
Well, it just stands to reason. Since I'm 11 times better than either one of you, I've won 11.
Hey, Reiner. Reiner, you Jew, you want to step outside with Carmine? And today, he's here to talk about his new semi-autobiographical. Now, get a shot of keep the prompter there, get a shot of the prompter. And I would look at this, John. Look, Carl, look what they do. Look at the L. Look where the L is.
No, it's
semi-autobiographical. Look where the L, biograph, is on the word. Does the audience see that? This is, the L is right next to...
Well, you know, this is accurate because it's the first semi-autobiographical novel that ever been written.
I think the semi-autobiographical thing works. It's just that L. Yeah. I mean, they're always putting me to the test here. They don't say, do you want to step outside?
This is why you make the big money, Charles.
This is why, because I can handle those L's.
I don't give a darn. It says 7 minutes here, and we're not going to stay on.
No, it just means we're going to go to a break, and we're going to be right back with Carl Reiner and John Denver, and we're going to and Carl's going to share with us. He too took a chainsaw, and he's going to share. And we'll be right back with these gentlemen.
Once again, we present This Is Your Story. As you know, each week, we give you the intimate inside story of some person's life. Now, that person might be anywhere in the audience tonight. This is your story, Al. Now, come on up here, Al. Yes, sir, come on up here, Al. The intimate story. He's a little overwhelmed, a little overwrought, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you just come this way, Al. Al, this is going to be the story of your life. We're going to tell the intimate inside story.
Now, I've seen the fuller version of that clip, and describe what happens in the rest of it, because it gets to be like 4 guys jump on him. Right?
Yeah, he doesn't want his life in front of people, so he runs up. It was Center Theater, 3,000-seat theater. Ran through the theater, 12 ushers. They finally carried him up on stage. Al Duncy, this is your life. And he sat there. And then the rest was the greatest satire in any show ever done, because it was such love. When Uncle Goopy came out and kissed him, we couldn't get, it was like a monkey attached to a guy. We couldn't get him off. 2.5 minutes of trying to tear 2 people apart, carrying them around, putting them down, clapping to a knee. No, it's one of the funniest.
Fabulous. I remember it vividly. I must have seen clips in it, and I saw, you know, that happened within the last couple of years with Connie Stevens, right?
I know.
Where the Connie, This Is Your Life, and Connie like bolted out the stage. Did you know this, John?
No, I didn't.
Wasn't it Betty Davis too, or somebody?
I know Connie, because Connie was here. We actually didn't talk about that, but she knew that she'd get into the mascara would start running and everything, and Connie didn't want to. I mean, would you want a surprise? This is your life. John, I sold you the chainsaw. Like, oh, great, thanks. This is great. You know, what else you got? Yeah, here's a photograph of the trees before, you know, she cut them down. Here's the table. Oh, this is great. Then we're going to go to a break now while John punches everybody out, you know. Now, Carl, you said you never really punched it. You said you punched a plate glass window.
Once, yes.
Now, why did you do that?
I was angry.
Did you know there was a window there?
No,
you thought you were punching a curtain.
A curtain. I thought I was punching a curtain. It was a small glass. I wasn't.
Now, what provoked that kind of anger? You would punch a curtain.
It was a non-argument my wife and I were having. I say it's a non-argument because nothing to argue about. She was arguing with me, and I got mad. And that was the most violent I've ever been.
So you thought you were punching a curtain, and you forgot there was a window.
Yeah, I was in my own bedroom. I should have known that behind the curtain.
Is that
was
right?
a glass.
And your fist went through the window.
It just broke the glass, and I got a little piece in my finger. And God kept it there for months and months and months.
While you directed a movie with your hand in a glass. Now, if you have glass in your finger, because I like this show to be informational as well. If you have glass in your finger.
Yeah, a little piece of glass. It went right through the nail, a little tiny piece, and it wouldn't leave. And it stayed red, and I was directing Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, walking around with my finger in a hot cup of water for about 3 weeks until I got to a doctor. And I couldn't get time to go to a doctor. And he cauterized it, took it out in a second. I didn't have time. I said, it'll come out by itself, you know. Nature heals. Nature doesn't heal sometimes.
It didn't heal.
Just like those trees didn't grow back.
Oh, well, you know, I mean, looking back on those trees and that whole thing, I mean, you're probably sorry you did it, but hey, you know, I could understand it.
I'd rather have done it than have left the feeling that I had stuck inside me.
I actually agree with him.
Let's look at it this way.
Yeah.
He cut down inanimate things. He didn't go like the Chainsaw Massacre and go through the street chaining people down. He cut a piece of inanimate wood.
Yeah, I agree with him too. Of course, you want women say, "What are you talking about?"
And when you're cutting down a tree, they say it's live, and trees and plants scream when you cut them down. You cut a piece of wood, you don't hear a sound. You cut a table, you don't hear a sound.
So basically, what we're saying here today is, if you're really upset, about something, cut a table in half. Get it out.
Kill dead things. Don't kill live things.
That's right. Kill tables. I don't want to. Here is John Denver to sing the Aspen Chainsaw Massacres.
Oh, at first it was like heaven in your heart and in your arms, and paradise discovered in the sweetness of your charms. Yes, and every day a miracle to awake and be with you. And every night in your embrace, another dream come true. But castles sometimes crumble, some rivers still run dry, and fairy tales are witches' tales when the truth becomes a lie. And a pocket full of promises won't buy a diamond ring. And every word you said to me just didn't mean a thing. It's over now, you've gone too far, I can't take any more. Be careful now, don't hurt yourself when you walk through the door. I can hardly stand to look at you, it makes me wanna cry. Get your tongue out of my mouth, because I'm kissing you goodbye. Bye, bye, goodbye. Get your tongue out of my mouth, because I'm kissing you goodbye.
Now, John, that's not one of your greatest hits, is it?
Not yet.
Not yet. Is that a new song, or?
That's a pretty new song.
I mean, you couldn't have just made that up, because there are a lot of tricky rhymes in there.
Tricky rhymes. It's got a second verse too, but I figured that's enough.
No kidding. You really? This is a song on your new CD?
No.
On your old CD?
No.
Did you ever record this song, John?
No.
It's recorded now.
This is a song. Where did you get this song?
Well, I heard of a book about a year ago. Some songs, you can tell by the title before you even hear the song that it's a country song. Songs like "Hello, I'm a Truck."
Get your tongue out of my mouth.
Definitely.
This is supposedly a book written by a woman about relationships. And when I read the title, it cried out to have a country song written around it, and I had to do it.
So when did you write this song?
Oh, I wrote it. I actually wrote it while playing in the Pebble Beach AT&T Pro-Am.
Sounds like a kind of
having a terrible round. I started writing this song.
Which is what, 10 years ago, 5 years ago?
No, this last January.
Last January. Well, it was a perfect song for you to get your I'm Kissing You Goodbye.
I never associated it with the Aspen Chainsaw Massacre, but forevermore.
But it has something to do. Now, you have a new CD, right?
I have a new CD, and
what's the new CD called?
The Wildlife Concert.
The Wildlife Concert. And anything by John Denver, come on.
Yes.
And Carl, your book is, and now what's interesting about your semi-autobiographical sequel to Enter Laughing, which is Continue Laughing, right? Yes. Is that you wrote it, 35 years after the first one?
Well, yes. Enter Laughing was written in '58, and then I worked for profit. I wrote
profit,
movies.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, books are not for profit. Books you have to write because you have to write them. And then I wrote my dirty novel last year, my sexy novel called All Kinds of Love. I wanted to get back to just me and a typewriter and one person reading. And then I said, I wonder what happened to David Kukolowitz, the young actor who left us in 1958. I wonder what's happened to him. And I said, hey, maybe the same thing that happened to me. So I take David Kukolowitz, who becomes Don Coleman. I take him through the war years, 1942, Shakespearean Touring Company through the war years, and Iwo Jima, playing as a performer in Iwo Jima. I became a comedian in the Army. I was an actor before I got in the Army, and there was no stages to work on.
You had to be. Otherwise, you'd have been killed by the carbines. Well, you had to become a comedian. That's when he became a comedian.
Exactly.
And you must have been a comedian, become a comedian in the latrine that day.
No. There was rec halls, and I got up with a microphone and started doing a little of Zero Mostel's act, a little of my friend Jack Gilford, not really, and put together an act for myself, and then started writing for myself.
Hey, and to Alice, and thank you to John Denver, and to Carl Reiner, and thank you everybody for watching. Good night, everybody.
This makes me happy.